Hi, this is Shannon with Society HAE, and today I have the honor to talk with Jennifer Pryor, the widow of the great comedian legend Richard Pryor. How are you today, Jennifer?
I'm good.
Great. So if we could just start from the beginning, and just, when and how did this film come about?
The film is, in my mind, long overdue because there have been a lot of pieces done on Richard, more or less sensational, true Hollywood story types, and nothing that was really authorized and by the estate and working with the estate in such a way as this was done. And so we were approached, and Roy Ackerman, my producing partner, suggested Marina, and we all got on board, and Showtime came on board, and it was a wonderful marriage, a wonderful conspiracy of events that has led to this.
And then you touched on like not wanting to sort of tread in the same, true Hollywood story format. So what were some of the things that you were looking for in a filmmaker in order to tell Richard's story?
Well, when I say true Hollywood, what I'm referring to is sensationalism.
Yeah.
And because with Richard, it is so easy to grab hold of he says motherfucker all the time. He cusses. He, hits women. He does drugs. He does this. He does that. And there's more to it. I mean, those are symptoms of, what's going on. Who is this person? And so basically, Marina wanted to get to know the man, and as I wanted to reveal too. And so the meetings of the mind were that we won't do sensational. I mean, that exists. You can't not have that. I mean, that's who Richard is anyway. Yeah. But you don't, you go for more. You go for the gusto. You try to get to know the man and reveal who he really is.
Absolutely. And what did you find in Marina Zinovich that seemed like a good fit for this project?
Well, I saw Roman, and I really loved it, and I thought she likes difficult men. I mean, she knows, the complexities of this kind of personality. And then when she did Bernard Tapie, which is another rather obscure piece that people don't know about.
Oh, okay.
Another documentary she did, it fascinated me because it was, she latched on to this mercurial character in France who never gave her an interview, and she was relentless about it, and I liked that persistence, and I thought it was really odd and interesting. Yeah, and I thought she'd bring that to this. She'd bring something different and wouldn't present just the normal sort of traditional
absolutely
crazy man.
But brilliant. Brilliant. So let's get to you. Tell us about the first time you met Richard.
Oh my gosh, the first time I met Richard, I fell in love with him, and that is the truth, corny as it sounds. I was an actress, and I just got back from Texas, and I was broke and looking for a job, and my friend Lucy Soroyan was actually working for him as a creative consultant, and she said, well, he needs his house done. He needs he just bought this house in Northridge and needs it decorated. Okay. And I said, I can do that. And when I met him, I just saw this, and I knew his reputation. I was certainly aware of it. Oh, this crazy guy, this very intense guy. His moniker was, kind of rough and tumble. He calls it like it is. But when I met him, I met this incredibly vulnerable, tender-hearted, shy, sweet man.
Wow.
Yeah. And we took a picture. His friend took a picture the first day I met him, and I was sitting at the kitchen table, and there was a bouquet of flowers. And I said, and it was an SX70. And I said, that's my wedding bouquet. It looked like it in the picture. And of course, he had to marry somebody else first and go through all of that drama. There was a lot of drama, and but I ended up marrying him, and eventually we, of course, were divorced. I went back to New York. I had to kind of figure it out what happened, but and then I came back into his life and married him again. But the first time around we worked together. I loved working on live in concert.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, And we took notes. You know, I take notes, and then we go over it the next day. And it was really amazing being with him and seeing him tell the truth. And boy, you had to tell it too. He insisted it. He insisted.
Yeah. And tell us about, well, you kind of actually touched on something, because I don't think I think people would be surprised to learn that Richard was a SHAE person, given his onstage persona. If you could talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, well, first of all, comics, you know, when they're off stage, you know, they generally tend to be very down and shut down and quiet, and you know. But Richard, as David Banks said in the film, "Omit the Logic." And he had all these other personalities. That's really true, and you didn't know who you were going to get all the time.
Right.
I mean, he was unpredictable.
Right.
But he also had this really. I remember the first time I went to Hana Maui with him. I saw this side of him. This, you know, Hana Maui is. I mean, there are no discotheques over there. It's quiet. It's beautiful.
Wow.
And it remains so to this day. But I said, this is really an elegant man.
Yeah.
This is somebody who, you know, is pensive, is, you know, wants beauty, but also, you know, wants peace around him. This is somebody who, you know, isn't rock and roll.
Yeah. What was, I imagine that having this film come about, and, you know, having to sort of go over like footage and photos and just frankly just the different episodes of his life, what was all of that and anything additional difficult in the process of?
It was difficult.
How did you sort of cope with having to relive all of this?
I knew going in that there would be the challenge of the emotional, obviously, component to this, and as self-reflective as I could be, and trying to maintain a third eye as well, I realized that this was going to take me down a lot of the old roads that we had traveled, and that it would be, you know, I mean, at best moving, and at worst really emotionally wrenching, which it was at times. I mean, it was difficult. It was, you know, and that kind of stuff sneaks up on you. You don't even know. You know, I mean, you know, it just kind of gets you when you're back there. All of a sudden, you're back at that moment with him, and it, you know, you relive a trauma maybe that I experienced with him, or I relive a joy. There was a lot of joy. A lot of tenderness, and, you know, and then we get very emotional. Because I still love him very much. It's quite painful.
I mean, I only have always, this isn't a side, but like, I mean, I'm sure you've heard this 10 times over, but I just have always been taken with the fact that he was just so truthful, and then just his manner, his approach, his just conviction, and his just...
He absolutely was that man. And insisted, if you rode with him, you better buckle up. And you better... he insisted that. You know, so I really learned a lot from him, because whatever perhaps was dormant in me, I remember being at a commercial audition, and I came home and I was upset. And, well, why are you upset? And I said, well, somebody made a racist comment, and I mean, it was really horrible. And he said, what'd you do about it? And I said, well, what? And he said, what the fuck did you do? And he said, it's not enough to feel bad. You have to speak up. Then we read Malcolm X together. Really, we read it out loud together. I mean, it was and he wanted me to find that conviction in myself, to speak up and to know the difference, and to be brave. And even though it might not be comfortable, it might be very uncomfortable, it might be frightening, you don't have a choice. If you know the truth, you have to speak it. And so that's really how I live my life today, and I can thank Richard for helping me bring that out in me, that grow in that way.
So how, over the course of how long were the two of you?
Well, I met him in 77.
Yeah.
And he married somebody else
Yeah.
while I was working for him, Deborah.
Yeah, okay.
And then he shot the car, and that was over.
Yeah, just brilliant.
You can leave, but you leave.
Yeah, exactly.
Bang, bang. And and then we started dating in 78.
Okay.
And we got married in 81.
Mm-hmm.
And divorced in 82.
Okay.
I came back to New York.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what just happened? You know,
Wow.
how do we figure that all out? And
Yeah.
I wrote a book.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, but we always would back and forth.
So it wasn't like you just like never like kept in touch with him.
I was still so in love with this man.
Wow.
Oh my God. One time I was in Paris.
Mm-hmm.
And I was seeing somebody, and he lived in London, and I took a trip to Paris, and he found me, and he said, I need to see you, I miss you. It was 1980, was it 86?
Mm-hmm.
And I remember flying from Paris back to LA, and I got in his car, and there were these little baby shoes hanging from the mirror. I said, what the fuck are those? And he goes, oh, well, I have something to tell you. I said, yeah, what? And he goes, so I was seeing this girl and she got pregnant.
Wow.
And I said, you just left Paris to come here? What are you doing?
Wow.
So that was, you know, but I never stopped loving him.
Yeah.
Never, ever. So we were always back and forth.
Yeah.
And then in '94, I moved back because he was physically in bad shape.
Yeah.
And also the locust had descended, and he was, he was being picked over and not handling his business well anymore. So I said, this man needs me.
Yeah.
And I couldn't not go back.
Yeah.
I had to be there for him because he's my family.
Yeah. Wow. I really appreciate you saying that, because I mean, like, I don't know if any woman could like put up with a lot of the stuff that he sort of, you know, I mean, I think of people, great figures like him and Dr. King and Picasso and you know, so many others, and like what it means to sort of love and really devote yourself to a man of the world. If you could talk a little bit, as you have, but you talk more about how you sort of balance, you know, your love for Richard versus, you know.
Only a woman would be asking that question, so I think it's a brilliant question, and I haven't been asked it, and that's great. That's a first. Yeah, no, it really is. That's a good question to ask me. How riding with somebody of greatness like this in complexity is a daunting task. Obviously, you have to saddle up. You take all of it. You can't take parts of it and pieces of it and try to change or censor or do whatever. You are loving the whole package, and that's what love is. You love or you don't love.
Yeah.
And yes, it was challenging. I mean, certainly I wondered why he couldn't stop some of the self-destructive behavior, for instance.
Right.
You know, but I understood too that he was an artist first, and sometimes not a good husband, not a good boyfriend, not a good father. But that's okay. You know, that's okay, because he was a great artist. That was his purpose. You know, and he reflected on his own fatherhood after.
Yeah.
But when he was ill. But I felt it was, I almost felt like I didn't have a choice. This was destined, you know. He was my DNA.
Yeah.
He was part of me. And he's always going to be part of me.
Yeah.
I should show you something.
Oh, please.
I haven't shown anybody yet.
Yeah.
You're a first girl.
Scoop, scoop, scoop.
I carry his heart in my heart, and I carry his ashes in here.
Oh my God. Wow. Wow. How do you go on after? Thank you for sharing that with me.
Well, thank you for wanting me to share it.
Oh gosh.
Inspiring me to share it.
So we touched a bit on Richard's legacy. I mean, like, frankly, I feel like he was one of, there have been very few sort of truth tellers that we've had. And, like, he's made it, I think his legacy is, one of the things about his legacy is the fact that he's made race a universal and a human problem. If you could just talk a bit about that.
Well, it's so interesting. Race is something obviously that people always, that Richard Pryor, that angry black man.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
What he did was he tore the covers off all of us.
Mm-hmm.
White people,
mm-hmm.
black people,
mm-hmm.
and what he exposed was our own humanity.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's much bigger. And when he stopped using the N-word, and there were people who were castigating him for that.
Yeah.
Some celebrated, some castigated him for that.
Yeah.
He didn't. He really was shaken by it. He said,
mm-hmm.
"That's not who I am.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm not. I'm not going to be what you want me to be."
Right.
He was bigger than that.
Yeah.
He was much bigger.
Mm-hmm.
His truth was all encompassing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I saw rednecks come up to him and seriously
mm-hmm.
and tell him, you've may now understand. I mean, people who were really opened by him, by his truth, and touched in a profound way as to be transformative.
Mm-hmm. Did Richard express? I know that in an interview with Dave Chappelle, part of the Inside the Actor Studio,
right.
It was kind of mentioned that Dave Chappelle was sort of named or listed as like the sort of torchbearer, the one who's carrying the tradition. I just wanted to see, did Richard have that?
Richard loved Dave,
mm-hmm.
and I mean, the people who we sort of saw, of course, Tracy Morgan was just kind of starting.
Okay.
You look at people who fly with no net, because Richard was, as Whoopi said, no net.
Yeah.
And I want to be that.
Yeah.
I want to go there.
Yeah.
And people who are capable of doing that. And Dave is one.
Yeah.
And Tracy's one too.
Yeah.
I mean, Tracy can go right out there.
Yeah.
And so Richard really connected with that kind of comedian.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. And then we could just go on for hours easily, but of all of the accomplishments, from creating major motion picture deals to, I still can't believe the Richard Pryor show ever happened.
Isn't that amazing? That you could. I mean, there's so much material. How do you fit it all in 90 minutes?
I know.
I mean, you could do a documentary just on the NBC variety show.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that was an amazing.
And all the talent that came. Oh my God.
And I mean, it was. At that time. It was 1978. And it was amazing that a lot of that got on.
Wow. And then I just wanted to ask to that, like, was there anything that Richard wanted to accomplish that maybe he didn't get to because of the MS or anything?
Certainly. And those are regrets, I think, that he had, that he didn't get to do some roles that he would have been great at.
Yeah.
There were some acting roles that would have been brilliant.
Wow.
Had he. And I mean, he was a really good actor.
Yeah, he was. He really was.
He could have done some serious work and gone on.
Yeah.
But alas, MS got hold of him.
Yeah.
And he went.
Wow.
And he's still here.
Yeah, he'll never leave. And then you mentioned yesterday at the premiere that there's going to be a sort of more life for this film. If you could talk about what's next.
That's what I said. That 90 minutes, and because I am now protector of the legacy and wanting to enhance it and see it grow and become more and reveal more of Richard. You've got a piece that I like very much, but it's 90 minutes. I want to see another one. I want to see more. And we're working on a biopic. I'm producing with Forrest Whitaker. And so we'll do that, and that will obviously be, reveal more of the man. Yeah. In a dramatic way. And no, I don't know who's going to play Richard.
I know. It's just, my question is more of just like, whenever you think of someone like Nina Simone or Richard Pryor, like, who could possibly play a Nina Simone or Richard Pryor?
They picked the right actress. No.
That's a whole other
kind. I think go there, right? Yeah, no, Richard, I mean, somebody who's authentic, who's
Yeah.
not a big star.
Yeah.
Because he's the star.
Yeah.
Richard's the star with, the material's the star.
Yeah.
But, so somebody who's got good chops.
Yeah.
So, but I love Michael Jordan, who's in Fruit Film.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen it?
No, I haven't. I will.
Amazing.
I will.
Yeah.
Oh wow! Thank you so much.
You're
This has
very
been such an
welcome.
honor. I could easily
You're very
again go on, but
Yeah.
good time. Hopefully another time. I'm
Okay,
sure.
I would love to see you again.
Thank you.
Certainly.